Etymology and historical origin of the baby name Maggie. The name Maggie originated as a pet form of the English name Margaret, but has since developed into an individually given name in its own right. G was used for Margaret as far back as the Middle Ages and eventually morphed into Maggie. The name Margaret came to England by way of the Old French name Marguerite, from the Latin margarita, which ultimately comes from the Hebrew margarine meaning pearl. The name has been one of the more enduring female names, popularized in the Middle Ages and sustaining strong usage into modern times, like Catherine, Elizabeth, and Anna. Margaret is also a name that has spurred several variations, pet forms, and nicknames. These include, but are not limited to, Maggie, Madge, Marge, Meg, Megan, Greta, Gretchen, Margot, May, Molly, Peggy, Peg, and even Daisy. After Molly, Maggie is currently the most popular pet form of Margaret. Personality of the girl named Maggie. Romance is the hallmark of the Six personality. They exude nurturing, loving, and caring energy. Sixes are in love with the idea of love in its idealized form, and with their magnetic personalities, they easily draw people toward them. Like the number 2 personality, they seek balance and harmony in their life and the world at large. They are conscientious and service-oriented, and a champion for the underdog. These personalities naturally attract money and are usually surrounded by lovely material objects, but their human relationships are always primary. They thrive in giving back to others rather than being motivated by their own desires. This is when they achieve great things. Sixes are natural teachers, ministers, and counselors. Popularity of the girl named Maggie. The name Maggie has been in use as an independently given girl's name since the U.S. government began tracking naming trends in 1880. In fact, that's when Maggie experienced her greatest success on the charts. The name's peak popularity came between 1880 and 1910, when it was a top 100 favorite choice for little girls. The name fell off the top 100 list in 1911 and declined in usage for the next 60 years until reaching its lowest point on the charts in 1970. From that point on, Maggie has been revived and is now climbing the charts once again. She has yet to reclaim her glory days of the turn of the 20th century, but she seems to be settling with moderately high usage. Like Molly, Maggie is a super cute name. Both darling and daring. And we absolutely love her association with Margaret, which means pearl. A pearl is formed after years of irritation when a foreign substance slips into an oyster. The oyster's natural reaction is to cover up that irritant to protect itself with layers of the same nacre substance that is used to create the shell. This eventually forms a pearl. A pearl is a hard-won beauty. Just like your baby girl. Quick facts on Maggie. Gender, girl. Origin, English. Number of syllables, 2. Ranking popularity, 231. Pronunciation, Mag. Simple meaning, pearl. Characteristics of Maggie. Sensitive, loving, affectionate, community-minded, family-oriented, humanitarian, compassionate. Cultural references to the baby name Maggie. Literary characters of the baby name Maggie. Maggie is the young protagonist of George Eliot's Mary and Evans, The Mill on the Floss, published in 1860. She is an appealing child and young woman who strives for goodness and purity of spirit, but mainly for unconditional love, especially from her brother, Tom. Although he does, indeed, love his sister, Tom's nature is more prosaic and practical, which makes him often unsympathetic to her passionate pursuits of one ideal after another. In her relationship with the sensitive hunchback, Philip Wackham, Maggie is presented with the opportunity of being taken seriously as an intellectual and serious young woman, but her loyalty to Tom leads her to eschew his attentions in favor of Tom's approval. When Maggie meets the romantic Stephen Guest, yet another of her senses is awakened, and she is tempted to run away with him, as unsuitable as the match may be, but ultimately decides in favor of her duty to Tom. Fate, always a major player in 19th century literature, intervenes in one fell swoop and with dire consequences, and Maggie is allowed to prove her abiding love for Tom, and he for her, in the most redemptive fashion possible, that is to say, death. Margaret Pollitt, aka Maggie the Cat, is a major character in Tennessee Williams' 1955 Pulitzer Prize-winning play, Cat on a Hot Tin Roof, made into a movie starring Elizabeth Taylor in 1958. Hers is the face and slip-clad body we see when we think of Maggie. She is the sexually frustrated wife of Brick Pollitt, an ex-football star who spends more time drinking and mourning the suicide of his friend Skipper than engaging in marital relations with her. In addition to ignoring her, Brick is also jeopardizing the inheritance due him from Big Daddy in favor of his brother, a fact perhaps even more unsettling to Maggie the Cat. Coming from a deprived background, Maggie has made something of herself, having gone to college and married into wealth, and she is not about to hand it all over to a brother-in-law named Gooper and his baby machine wife, who produces no-neck monsters, according to the as-yet childless Maggie. She is in full bloom and knows it and flaunts it, and the fact that Brick is indifferent to her is a stab to the heart of her ego. But Maggie is a survivor, and at the play's end we have the feeling she means business as she locks away the liquor and tells Brick that there will, indeed, be a baby. We have no doubt that Maggie will manage to produce it out of her fierce and abiding love for Brick, and for herself. Popular songs on Maggie. I Can't Let Maggie Go, Ishmael and Maggie, a song by Bob Dylan. When You and I Were Young, Maggie, Maggie's Dream, Sweet Maggie, a song by The Doors. Maggie in the Meantime, a song by Perry Como. Maggie's Farm, Maggie May, a song by Suzanne Vega, a song by Mississippi Sheiks. Goodbye Maggie, a song by Rod Stewart. Maggie Mayuro Gill, a song by Virginia Coalition, a song by The Trews, a song by Rage Against the Machine. I'll Never Be Your Maggie May, a song by Harry and Jeannie West, a song by Don Williams. Little Maggie, a song by Honeybus. Famous people named Maggie. Maggie Q, born Margaret, actress. Maggie Grace, born Margaret, actress. Maggie Lawson, born Margaret, actress. Maggie Smith, born Margaret, actress. Maggie Reiser, born Margaret, model. Maggie Chung, actress. Maggie Gyllenhaal, born Margaret, actress. Children of famous people named Maggie. Jon Stewart,